Hey everybody, thanks so much for being here today. My name is Sam Kary. I'm your host for the new EdTech Classroom Live. And today's show is about supercharging your Google education tools with Hapara. Now, if this is your first time on the show, welcome. And if you've been to live shows before, welcome back. Every Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I host a live show where I go in depth on topics relating to innovating with technology in education. And all of my shows are also posts as videos that you can watch on my channel. If you aren't able to watch them live, you can watch them at a later time. On today's show, I'm going to be showing you a program that I think should be an indispensable component of really any school's education technology plan. And my goal in this show is to show you why. So just a couple of quick notes before we get started. I'm very excited that Hapara is also a sponsor of today's show. Sponsorship allows me to continue to host these hour-long shows every week. And it's important for me to let you all know that I only accept sponsorship from programs that I genuinely believe in and have personal experience using. Hapara is one of those programs, so I just want to give a big thank you to them for their sponsorship. Now, if you aren't familiar with Hapara, I think you're going to be pretty blown away by what it can do. I know that the first time I saw it and then used it in my own classroom, it was a complete game changer. And one thing that's really that is useful about Hapara is that it's a school-wide platform. And so I'm going to be talking about that and talk a little bit about how, if you're an individual teacher, you could go about actually doing a pilot of Hapara and checking it out. And I also have some resources that I'm going to share with you that you could share with your school administration if this were a program that you thought was valuable for your entire school. So I'll put a link in the chat now. This is going to be a link that is also going to be in the description for this video. And this is just with some information about Hapara as well. It's hapara.com. Sam Kary has some different information about some of the key features of Hapara that I'm also going to show, of course, on this show today. Now, as an individual, you can also show your support for the work I do on this channel just by liking the video, by showing up, of course, leaving comments, sharing the video with other teachers that you know. And I'm also always just looking for different ideas about shows. So if you have ideas, different programs or strategies you want to see on the show, please put those in the comments. And I do try my best to answer as many questions as I can during the show. I will answer some questions as we go, and then I'll also answer some additional questions at the end during our Q&A. So please put those in the chat as they come up. There's also going to be somebody from Hapara, representative from Hapara in the chat today answering questions about Hapara if you have any questions about it. So please ask those questions in the chat today. So I'm going to share a little bit about my personal experience piloting Hapara and how I was able to get my school leaders to get Hapara a couple years ago. But before we do that, I just want to actually show you a couple of key features so that you can kind of understand what it's about. And then we'll back up and we'll look at it from the beginning. And also, if this topic of piloting programs and demoing them and gathering data and then sharing that for your admin to recommend a program is something you're interested in, that's actually going to be the topic of my entire show next week. So stay tuned for that. All right, so I want to just jump in right now and I want to show you first this page that I just put in the link that I will drop in the video description below, and I'll just put in periodically hapara.com /Sam Kary. That just has some information on here that's valuable for you about Hapara and what it does, kind of a one-pager that will, could facilitate potentially the process if you are looking to get Hapara for your school. Okay, so I just want to show you here a couple of key features to kind of get you understanding why this program is so amazing. It would also just be interesting to know in the chat If you have experience with it, or if you don't, that would even be helpful for me to know. So if you just want to put in the chat, if you're on the show live, whether or not you have heard of it, whether you've used it, whether you currently use Hapara, that would also just be helpful for me to know, and love to see, how the community is currently using Hapara, or if you have any familiarity with it. Okay, so what we're looking at here is called the Hapara Dashboard, and I have a bunch of students in right now. And what I want to show right now is just how Hapara addresses one of the main concerns that I hear from teachers. I heard it before we went to remote teaching, and I hear it, of course, now even more so, and that is about visibility. Visibility is a critical issue when you have a technology integrated classroom, and I'm going to talk a lot more about it, but this is one of the key aspects that Hapara helps teachers in terms of just giving you ample visibility about what's going on. So what we can see right now are all the files that are currently in a student's Google Drive folder. They are all in a single location. I am able, for example, to click into a document, and right on a single page, I can just jump into a student's file. So on Dashboard, this makes that very easy to do. Now, there are more advanced tools, such as a tool called Highlights. And Highlights will allow you to do a lot. I'm going to showcase this during the show a little bit later. But one thing that you can see is that I have a few students who are actually actively logged into class right now. And I'm able to see what browser tabs they have open. And I can even click and see the screen that student is currently working on. And then I can also do different things. So for example, if I need to communicate with a single student, like my friend Ben here, then I can talk to him. So I'm actually going to pull this over. So here's Ben right here. He's split my screen here really quickly. He is in his Hapara dashboard. And when I click send message, I could do that to the entire class. I could also just send one directly to him. So I'm going to shoot him a message and, hey, great job on your work today. And you'll see that it's going to show up on Ben's screen. So I hit send, and it's going to pop up a little notification for him that I sent him a message. Now, it will also do things, for example, like focus browsing. So let's say, for example, that I want Ben to be able to just work on something like a Google Forms quiz. Okay. So I know that, he may want to go out and check some of these other tabs, and I don't want him to do that. So I'm just going to focus him on this one tab. Now I can do that for everybody, which actually I'm going to show right now, or I can do that for a single student. So what I can do here is guide browsing, and then I can set up a focus session. And I'm just going to do this right here. And I'm going to grab a quiz, just as though I were sending this demo quiz. And then I'm going to send this out. And you'll see that what I can do is I can determine how long this focus session is going to be. There's some different settings. I can choose whether or not it's going to go to the whole class, to one student, to a group of students, and then click start session. So I think I need to just refresh Ben here. Okay, so this is going to now start a focused browsing session that will basically make it now so that you saw all of the other tabs close on Ben's side, and he now has to stay on this quiz. Now, let's say that he hops over here. And he's like, I want to find the answer to the quiz. What is the answer? you'll see that it doesn't allow him to open up that other tab. So it's also really effective for focused browsing. Those are just a few things. So big things I hear from people: visibility. How do I know what students are working on? What's going on their screen? I can't see what they're doing. How do I help students? It allows you to do that. It allows you to send those messages out, right, to kids. Hey, everyone, we're doing this awesome assignment today. And you can send that to the whole class, or you can just choose to send it to a single student. So if you're using a program like Google Meet, right, then that's only going to allow you to send things out to the whole class. This allows you to send those messages just to a single student. So really powerful, helps us achieve so many things that I know people are looking for. Now, I already see some questions and some great comments. I love this one. Laugh out loud. I needed this in class today. I appreciate that. I'm going to talk about this in a little bit about what brought me to Hapara, and of course, management is part of the issue. So yes, and it will help you with that. There's also a question here. Thanks for your question. You can see if they're playing on a video game. You can. So if they're logged into their school accounts or then their school computers, you can see if they are playing on a video game, and I will show you that a little bit later. Okay, this question we'll be talking about a little bit later as well, but thanks for asking it, Jackie. What if they are at their houses? Yes, it still applies. Hapara has set windows that are for school hours, so it's not that you would have that kind of access, beyond 3 p.m. That is set by your school. But yes, so they do not have to be computers that are in front of you. In fact, some of these demo students that I have sitting in here right now are in a totally different place. They're not even here with us today, but I'm still able to help manage their workflow. Okay, so I'm going to continue to take questions. A lot of great questions already. So many people in, and yeah, thanks for all the comments that are coming through already. But before we start, I just want to talk a little bit about my own personal experience with Hapara and what brought me to it, and also how, as an individual teacher, I was able to get access to it, to convince my school as well that they should do the same. So as I was continuing to bring more technology into my classroom, of course, I also realized that came with a lot of different issues. So I wanted to be able to do things like pull a small group in the side of the room and still have the confidence that other students in the class were doing what they needed to be doing, working on the right programs. Some people mentioned not fooling around, going to other places, just kind of basic management issues that start to transfer over into a virtual realm if you are teaching with technology. So just kind of those management questions. I wanted to also be able to just give feedback and comment on work and see student workspaces in a digital environment. It no longer really made sense to just be walking around to all individual student computers. I wanted to see them all, see their screens, see their work, be able to see their documents, give them feedback on those all in one place. And so I was looking for a solution for that. And I also, I wanted essentially a way to streamline everything, right? I had links in 10 million places, and I would have to constantly, try different mechanisms to share links and put extensions on my browser that, stopped working and things like that to get links pushed out, and just dealing with all the management of all these different programs and stuff. So just the ability to have everything housed in one place, to have the ability as a teacher to do teacher type things, like rather than pass out an assignment, I can pass the link out to you. And you can even pass out a digital assignment. I'll show you how to do that. So I knew that as an experienced technology user, if I was having those problems, that other teachers were having those problems. And I was kind of always in my message about, let's all use more technology. But I knew that was a huge barrier, all the issues that I just raised. And so I worked with my director of technology. I led a pilot at my school for a semester with a small group of teachers. We demoed it, we collected data about it, and eventually went back to my school leaders with a recommendation that we purchase a school license, and we did. And so, again, I'm not going to talk in great depth about kind of running a pilot because that's the subject of another show. I'm actually going to talk about that, asking to do pilots, seeing if your school will agree with that, and then being able to recommend a program with some hard data to be able to convince your school that they should purchase school-wide access. So I did it. You can definitely do that as well. Okay, so let's jump in and let's talk about a couple other things. Before we do, though, I'm going to just take a few questions because I see some coming in. So yeah, you can, and in fact, I'm going to show this in a second. This question, Elizabeth, is from Elizabeth, is whether or not it's compatible with Nearpod. You can push out links to anything. So it's very powerful in that way. I'm going to show that in a second. So you could have a Nearpod lesson set up and you could link out to Nearpod, and you could fix the screen on Nearpod so that they're just there, for example. And then some of the questions about trials and how to get it and stuff, I'll let Lindy, hey Lindy, who's here from Hapara, to answer some of those as well. Okay, so keep the questions coming. I'm going to keep answering them throughout the show as well. All right, so I just want to show a few things here. I want to kind of back out and go back to the beginning. So the way that this works is that it syncs up with your Google Classroom. So what you can see here is that you can essentially just add a class. So if you have a Google Classroom set up, which you want to have set up already, then you can set it up, you can sync it. You can also create your own class in Hapara. I'm not going to do that because it takes a little while to sync. But what you can see here is that I now have a class that I brought in from Google Classroom. And once I click on it, that will take me here to the dashboard function. So I'm just going to walk kind of slowly through some of these features, take some questions about them, and also show you how all of this works together. And I'll do some demoing it on the student end as well. So one of the things that I showed is how you can get into documents. You can also see, when the documents were last updated, so you can even get some information, right, about those documents. And this is going to be, if you pair this with some strategies like building comment banks and things like that for Google Classroom, you can give really quick, efficient feedback by jumping into Google Docs, right? So imagine you've pushed out a assignment. It's something like a essay, right, for example, or an essay outline. I'm going to go over to this one actually. So you want to give some feedback on their amazing work, right? This essay that they're drafting. So you can, start to create these comment banks by going to insert comment. And let's say you want to leave this student, a comment that they should work on including an explanation of evidence, right? So what I do is, if you're working, and you're working on common things, I would start building a comment bank where I have these comments that I can just regularly bring in. So I'm not actually typing them out. And then you can copy and paste comments either in from another Google Doc is a way that I like to build these comment banks. And then you're going in and giving feedback on work very quickly. So particularly if you have a target skill, right, where I guess I didn't actually copy and paste that all. You're working on a target skill, and you're kind of looking all around here for the same thing, right, which is something we do all the time. Then you have some comments that you already have going, and you're just commenting on different parts. So I've talked a lot about this in recent tutorials and also shows just about different types of activities you can be doing during class rather than necessarily just doing a Zoom lecture where students are working on something, you're working on a particular skill like explaining evidence, and you can be jumping in there, looking at their work. And you can also have the confidence to know because you can see that they're doing it, right, in this one single place. So that's the dashboard, allows you to see the documents that you've pushed out to them through Google Classroom. Now, you can also do things on the dashboard like share documents with students. So let's say we'll take a document like this one, this differentiation document here. So if I have the link to this document, then what I can do is go up here to share files. And this allows me to essentially pass out digital work to students. So maybe I didn't actually assign it to Google Classroom, but I just want to have us, we're in class right now. We're all going to get this graphic organizer. So I'm going to go up here to share files. Now you can pull that in, right, from your Google Drive. So I'll actually show that here. I'm just going to go select class, differentiation document, that same one, click select. And then I can either give it out to my entire class, I can give it to one student, or I can also set up groups and I can give it to a group of students. So because this is a differentiation document, perhaps I have a document for a group of students that I need to give a different level of graphic organizer to, a scaffolded graphic organizer. I would set that group up ahead of time, and then I can smart share just to those groups. But I'm just going to show here the whole class to smart share with them. And so when the student, I'm going to show this in a moment, gets into their workspace, they will see that they also have some work. And so student workspace, when they get in, oh, sorry, I'm on guided browsing. That's my problem. I'm on focused browsing here because of that quiz that I showed. So just let me get out of that for 1 second. Okay, so this, remember I showed the focused browsing. I'm going to release this student from focused browsing, which is why that student is stuck on on Google Forms. Okay, so I have shared that out with students, right? So now we see it. It is in their documents, and the student, when they are in as well, and they're no longer just stuck doing focused browsing here. Oh. And they go to their dashboard. Sorry, I did not apparently take them off of focused browsing yet. Sorry about that. I will show that in 1 second. When they go into their dashboard, they're going to see their assignment, and then obviously I can see that it's in all of their Google Drives now. So I basically just passed it out to them. I passed out that digital document to them. Okay. So another thing you can do is see their Gmail accounts. So here I'm able to see whether or not, for example, Ben has opened the email that I sent to him where I welcomed him to the class. And I can click on that email, right? I can see what that email is that I sent out. And just so you know, schools can also set this so that you only have visibility for emails that you send. And again, I'm going to show you what this looks like in a moment on the student end, but it's not that you necessarily would be able to see emails from all the different teachers at your school. This is just for you and your emails. You can set it up that way. And then you can also see, the emails that were sent out. So most of these students haven't sent an email, but I see that Ben did. He responded to me with, his response to my email. And again, it's just all in one central place for me to be able to see that. Okay. Sharing works in a very similar way to Dashboard. It's just that this is going to allow me to see Google Drive documents that are not necessarily affiliated with Google Classroom. Because these are all demo students, I don't have Google Drives built out for them. But the idea is that you might have some work that you need to give feedback on, or you might need to share files with students that are kind of outside the world of Google Classroom. And so that's why you would use this sharing tab. Now, the highlights tab is the one that teachers tend to kind of I think, be the most blown away with. I know that's what blew me the most away when I first started seeing how Hapara works, and also started using it for myself. So here, what you can see on this activity viewer, you can see all of your students in aggregate, how many students have actually gone to a document that you pushed out. So remember, we pushed out a quiz, and so I would be able to see how many students have actually gotten into that form. I can see some student activity going on in here as well that I'll show you in a second. Now, I'm also able to start to see, in addition to aggregate class data, I can start to see unique activity. So notice here how one of my students, Finn, he's been over here on NASA. That might be all right, but it lets me know that Finn is on that page, and also just gives me a sense, if I have students who are kind of jumping around to other websites, where they're going. I use this a lot for obviously just kind of understanding like where are some places where there might be some sticking points and students are opening up other tabs, but also just I get to see if I have students browsing, looking for different resources for research and things like that. I get to see where they are, right? And check that all out. So this is really powerful to get to understand, hey, that's what all of our students are doing in aggregate. I can see, yes, like 3 of my students, or, these students are not getting on, so I need to ping them with, sending them a message. But these students are good, and so I know they're going to be ready to go, and I can give them some feedback, right? So then I already showed this browser tab. So let's look at some of this. So here again, I'm going to pull over. We'll go back to Ben Stello now that he's no longer guided browsing, and show what that looks like. So now this is a student on the right-hand side of the screen. And somebody asked a question, which is an important one as well, that I just want to re-emphasize. This does not have to be taking place in the same room. So I actually have some students, Finn and Poe, who are not in the room right now, and still able to see everything, right, that's going on. So here with Ben, right, I can see the tabs that he has open, right? And let's say, that we want to start a new lesson, okay? And I'm starting the day, and I just want every student now to go to Flipgrid. We're all gonna start by recording a video of ourselves. So what I can do here is grab that link and go to share links, enter the link, and then again, I can choose whether or not this is going to be class, student, or group. I'll share that link. And now you'll see on Ben's side that he is on Flipgrid. So just push the link out immediately to that student's computer, so that the student, I don't have to worry about link management, right? And you'll also notice that the student's other browser tabs are still open, right? So it didn't close any of those other browser tabs, but they could be. So every student now has Flipgrid open. Right now, let's say that, we're only supposed to be on Flipgrid, right? We're not supposed to be on NASA. And I want to communicate to Finn. This is not Finn, this is Ben over here, but I want to communicate to Finn. Finn, you really shouldn't be on NASA. So what I can do is, use all my tools that would be in my normal toolkit to give a student feedback. I can shoot Finn a personal message here, and I can say, just a reminder, we're supposed to be on Flipgrid only right now, and send a message, right? So Finn is going to get that message. I can see whether or not Finn, takes that and responds, and then closes out the link to NASA. And if I give that student a couple of verbal, in the form of message reminders to do that, I see Finn did it, good, we're good to go, right? So I'm gonna just keep using my my skills to positively reinforce behavior here, right? But let's say the same thing is happening over here with Ben, and I see Ben is over here on the side, and he is trying to look up something about Fortnite, right? And I see Google search Fortnite, it's popping up on there, and I send Ben a message like, "Hey Ben, no Fortnite." I'm not, it's going to be longer than that, but just for the sake of doing this quickly, I'll send him a quick message. You should not be on Fortnite right now, Ben. And let's say that, Ben does not respond to this message. So if Ben chooses not to respond, then I can still use the tools in my toolkit. This might be a higher level consequence where I am actually going to close his tab, and then I'm going to indicate why I'm closing that tab. So here, for example, it's not related to our task. And so it's going to indicate over here on the right that I close this tab, not related to the task, right? So helps you with management, helps you with understanding where students are going, giving them that feedback, but also, having the ability to manage what they're doing if that's what you need to do, right? Now, you can also, having some issues here. Okay. You can also do all kinds of things. So you can pause screens. I love this feature as well. So if you need to get students' attention to come back up front, right, you'll see that's what pops up on a student's screen. And then they know that you are trying to get their attention. So just, again, another way, oops, this is that you can make sure, right, that you have all of your students' attention. I should not have done this because now it's going to, all right, there we go. It like pushed out to my entire screen. You can see it's powerful. Did not want to get me out. Okay, so here we are again, and I can just unpause them, and I can get them back in when we're ready. So I use this all the time in class, just as a way to get my students' attention back when they're on their computers. That's something that's really hard to do if they're all on individual computers. Just pause their screen really quickly and, hey, everybody, eyes up front, need to give you a quick instruction. So also, really powerful. And then you can see I can just quickly unpause their screen as well there. So another really, really great feature. Okay. Keep getting pushed out here. Sorry about that. Okay. This is it works so, again, it works so well, it's not even letting me get back into my other screen. Okay, so what I'm going to show you now, let me get this pause screen off, is how you can also do focus browsing. So I know that I showed that very briefly here, how to do that, and let me get this set up for 1 second. Get this refreshed. So the focus browsing is going to help you because it's going to allow you to essentially fix a page for your students. And I think I just have to log out for 1 second here. Sorry about that. And log back in. Okay, so there are going to be lots of instances, right, where you are essentially trying to get your students to stay on one page. So let's say, for example, just to show this one, right, we all want them to be on Flipgrid, and I don't want them to be on a different page. So Hapara is going to basically allow you, right, to set this up so that you can fix it on that page. And I'm sorry that my screen has gotten all messed up here. It's that my guided browsing function for 1 second. So what I'm going to do is, while I'm just fixing this up, I'm just going to take some questions for a second while I'm working on that in the background. So any questions that are coming up, thank you. Sorry, I'm just got to manage my own many screens here as well. Okay, so some questions. Yeah, so this is a great question actually that I would love to hear as well. So Carl is asking, how many people have access to this program? And I know some people put this in the beginning just in terms of whether or not you had access to this or not. But it would be helpful for people to know. And also, if you want to put it in the chat as well, just something that you like about it. One, I'm glad, thank you, that you asked this question about Go Guardian. So there are some similarities to Go Guardian, yes. I do know that Hapara is definitely more affordable, that you can get basically their full suite for a more affordable a price than even just the basic version of Go Guardian. So it is, they have similar functionality, but I like Hapara. Okay, and just going to keep, and I'm sorry, I'm stuck on guided browse, and this is what happens when you try to open multiple tabs on the same computer. This is the issue that you face when you're trying to do some of this stuff live. And let's see what other questions. So, okay, this is a question about individual teacher licenses. So, you can get a school license, not an individual teacher license. And my understanding of the reason for this is because of how it has to interact with G Suite. So they can't really just hook it up for an individual teacher with just that one teacher's class. You have to be able to essentially, access every student's G Suite account through the admin level, and that's why you have to have it as a whole school. So great question as well. All right. Okay, so let's see what other questions. While I'm just still trying, big apologies here that I have my screen is all messed up right now for 1 second. Okay, I'm gonna go to